So hello everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Stan and I'm a partner and client solutions executive at Cleverence. I have over 10 years of experience in warehouse and inventory management automation, delivering end-to-end solutions across industries from wholesale and dealerships to manufacturing and e-commerce. I'm dedicated to helping businesses streamline their operations and achieve new levels of efficiency. And today, I'm pretty excited to talk about why your ERP system alone isn't enough for effective warehouse management and how augmenting it can transform your operations. Let's go to the next slide. Let me start by outlining what we'll cover in this session. Our webinar will proceed as follows. Warehouse and inventory management in ERP. So first, we'll review how typical ERP or backend systems handle warehouse processes and what that looked like in practice. ERP's limitations. So next, we'll discuss the inherent limitations of ERPs when it comes to on-the-floor inventory management and real-world working solutions. Then we'll explore the right approach to overcome those limitations. Essentially, how to modernize your warehouse with barcoding and mobile tools. After that, we'll look at some successful cases. I'll share 2 real-world case studies of companies that implemented these solutions, including the problems that they faced, and how Cleverence helped solve them, and the results achieved. Obviously, you want to see those. And finally, we'll conclude with information on, we'll essentially have a free guide that'll be sent out to you, or you can download it. Not sure how my colleagues set that up, but we'll see that at the end. So you'll receive that, and you'll be able to kind of understand how you can increase ROI on warehouse automation and I'll provide you also with contact details that we can so we can continue our discussion after. All right, so let's continue. So what is ERP or backend system? Before diving into the issues, let's clarify how warehouse typically use an ERP or backend system today. In many organizations, the process looks like this. So office data entry. So essentially an office PC operator creates and prints documents from the ERP, turning initial digital data into paper forms. So for example, like picking lists, packing slips, all of that is done from the back end. And PC operator is creating some sort of document that essentially the warehouse workers afterwards will be following and making sure, manual process essentially. Paper-driven work. So warehouse employees then execute these operations using those printed documents. So they pick items or put away stock following the paper instructions. Essentially, all the operations are done from this piece of paper. So they take a look at it. For example, they have X amount of products that they need to pick or let's say receive, and they're just making sure and by hand checking off the items that were received. One of the ways that this can be done. And essentially, that's one of the ways. So then we have handwritten updates. So as real world changes occur, like a shortage of an item or substitution, workers make handwritten corrections on the paper to reflect what actually happened. So as I was saying, any kind of corrections that need to be done, you need to do that by hand, and that causes obviously sometimes some errors, but we'll get to that in a minute. After that, they return that data, the updated data, into the ERP or backend system. Those corrected papers are brought back to the office, and the operator manually updates the ERP with the changes by typing them in. I think I was on the wrong slide, but that's fine. So essentially that's how it goes. And as you can probably tell, throughout this process, there could be a lot of errors due to human errors or just simple data discrepancy that, could have happened just because of wrong input, for instance. Okay. Records and filing. So finally, once the ERP is updated, new documents are printed or files are updated to serve as official records of the completed transaction. So as I mentioned, after all those documents are manually being input into the ERP systems, there's other ways, but we'll talk about them. After that, the system updates that inventory data, essentially. Could be inventory, could be, anything, essentially. ERP holds a lot of different modules. But essentially, that's how it goes. So the inputs are made manually in this example, and that data is now updated in the ERP system. So in summary, if you have a modern ERP system, the warehouse workflow is often very manual and paper-centric. There is a lag between the warehouse activity and the ERP data because information is recorded on paper first and only later entered into the system. So this process is manageable at a small scale, but it introduces delays and opportunities for error. And of course, as the business grows, those things, they can be happening. So that's why we will talk about the limits of the ERP for warehouse management specifically. Let's touch base here quickly. So let's talk about that. Traditional ERPs are powerful for planning and accounting. We all know that. So they're really good systems for those tasks. But when it comes to live warehouse and inventory management, they have some serious gaps. No real-time inventory tracking. So your ERP alone usually cannot track inventory movement in real time. There's always a delay until someone inputs that data. This means you lack up to the minute visibility. By the time data is entered, it might be outdated. So a lot of ERPs, they have batch updates, or as we just talked about, some things need to be inputted manually. That takes time, and you don't have live visibility of your stock. It doesn't really work when you want to run a full scalable business. And overall, you want to have live data. So, limited warehouse process support. ERPs offer only basic support for warehouse processes. Why they do that? We don't know, but that's just the case and what we found. They aren't specialized for tasks like directed picking, routes, real-time bin updates, or handling of exceptions on the floor. A lot of warehouse-specific needs must be handled outside the system or with custom add-ons. So, not the greatest, but there are workarounds. There's also high risk of human error. Because data is re-entered by hand from paper, there's a higher risk of errors in data entry. Typos, missed updates, or illegible handwriting can all introduce mistakes. So we can't understand what the person is saying. And now the person that operates the PC, as we used in the example a little bit before, that person might input a wrong number, for instance. And there you go, boom. Human error has occurred just because of the fact that his colleague, doesn't have the best handwriting. That's what we're trying to avoid. And those errors can propagate. For example, an inventory count error might lead to stockouts or overstock. Very bad for business. So, lack of mobility as well. Standard ERP workflows have limited mobile or wireless integrations for warehouse staff. Warehouse employees often can't interact with the ERP directly in the aisles. So they're tethered to those paper printouts or maybe a fixed terminal. This lack of mobility means slower updates and less flexibility on the floor. So all these limitations boil down to one thing. An ERP alone keeps your warehouse data and operations in silos. So one on the floor, one in the system, and they sync up only with manual effort and delays. This disconnect can cost time and money. So hopefully gave you a quick overview of where ERP is lacking those very important inventory management tools that are needed to have a full live accurate data that we're looking for. So let's go next. How do businesses try to overcome ERP's limitations? Let me just make sure that everything is in sync with the internet that we have here. Apparently, streaming to LinkedIn sometimes causes a lot of delays. So we're a bit of a delay, so that's why I wanted to take some time for the slide to update. So hopefully it's good now. Should be good. All right, so as I was saying, how do businesses try to overcome ERP's limitations? What do they do? So, given these shortcomings, how do businesses try to cope? We often see a few common workarounds, but unfortunately, each has its downsides and costs. So, manual double checking, lots of mistakes. So, some companies add extra manual checking steps, for example, having staff verify inventory levels or paperwork by hand repeatedly. This approach is tedious and, of course, prone to error. Humans get tired and overlook things. People have their own issues sometimes. Maybe something happened in the family. That's just what it is. We make mistakes, and although that's normal in inventory management, we don't really want to do that. So we want to avoid those mistakes. So despite the effort, a lot of these mistakes still slip through. And manual checks are essentially adding labor costs without guaranteeing that type of accuracy. So once again, it could work, but it's not going to be 99, 98, 98% level of accuracy that we are aiming for. So what else do we have? We talked about manual double checking. A lot of mistakes, a lot of rework, not the greatest accuracy. The next thing that I want to touch base on is we have spreadsheets. A lot of companies use those, so like Excel or Google Sheets. Here, people use those, some businesses, as a supplement to the ERP. So, essentially they have that. They might track stock in a spreadsheet for quick reference or data sharing. Not the best, but it does work. But spreadsheets easily become out of sync with the ERP data. So different versions float around, and soon you can't find anything. Or trust that the sheet is current, because there's all these copies. People update them. Maybe one of the employees, maybe in the management, he already has made some updates in the spreadsheet, but the warehouse worker doesn't know about them. So he's doing something with inventory that maybe is supposed to be frozen for another customer, for instance. So it turns into a parallel system that is error prone and non-real time. So we're all talking about that. I want to make sure that we have a full real-time sync with our inventory. Another way that we've seen, and a lot of businesses are using today, is basic USB barcode scanners. So that's another partial solution, as we call it. So it's a USB barcode scanner that is tethered to a PC. So scanning barcodes is a good idea, but with simple USB scanners, workers still have to be at a computer to scan into the ERP or into a spreadsheet. Those kind of options do exist. It's inconvenient for a dynamic warehouse. I was just locked from my screen for some reason, but hopefully you guys can see everything. Should be able to. All right, good. So let's go on to the next slide. The cost of ineffective solutions. Perfect. I think we are right where we're supposed to be. Right on. All right. So as I was saying, there we go. Let's get back to the program. So as I was talking about the different ways of how businesses try to cope with these issues and how they try to find the workarounds to kind of like extend their ERP system. And we stopped at the basic USB barcode scanners, right? So as I was saying, scanning with barcodes is a good idea, but with simple USB scanners, as I was saying, workers still have to be at a computer. to scan into the ERP system. So it's inconvenient for a dynamic warehouse, and you just move the bottleneck to a computer station. Essentially, it's not a true mobile solution. So as I was saying, it is like a middleware layer between the ERP and the warehouse and the actual inventory, but it doesn't allow to have a full mobile solution. It's very limited. So all these stopgap solutions carry hidden costs and inefficiency. Yes, I am on the correct slide. Perfect. In fact, studies and our experience show that relying on such methods can cost a company thousands of dollars per month in labor and mistakes. So, for example, purely manual processes might equate to around $10,000 per month in added labor or time. Using spreadsheets might run around $8,000 per month. Obviously, these are just general calculations that we made based on the business and stuff. It will change, but you'll see the point where I'm getting at. And even a basic scanner approach can incur roughly $4,000 per month in inefficiencies. So these are significant drains for the business. So money is spent on work that doesn't actually add value, and sometimes on correcting avoidable errors. So essentially, it's just additional time, labor, and money being spent on all of that when there are ways to avoid that, where you can have a full inventory, live data, and full mobile solution. So let's go to the next slide. So what is the right way? There are different ways, and we'll kind of go over a couple of them here. So as I was just talking about, the Excel sheets, the manual way of counting the stock, doing everything essentially manually. Then the last thing that we talked about is the barcode scanners, the ones that are being attached to the computer with the ERP system. So those methods are out there, but they aren't truly effective, as I quickly touch base on that. So what's the right way to overcome ERP limitations? The answer is to modernize your warehouse operations with barcoding and mobile technology in a way that tightly integrates with your ERP or backend system. In other words, instead of working around the ERP and ad hoc fixes, extend your system to the warehouse floor in real time. So there are three core pillars to this modern approach, as highlighted on the slide. Barcoding implementation, digital tools, and team training process setup. And let me break that down with some details as to what it looks like in practice. So restructuring and barcoding. The first step is assigning barcodes to all goods and establishing a proper labeling system. This means every item, location, or bin in your warehouse should have a scannable code that has data inside it about that product. We create label templates and print labels for any items or locations that are missing them. By restructuring your inventory management around barcodes, you lay the foundation for accurate and efficient tracking. That's just the way it goes. I think that's the best way that can be implemented in a warehouse or any kind of facility. Those barcodes hold the value and the actual details that we can work with, and potentially that's how you start with extending your ERP system properly. That's how you come up with a proper inventory management solution. So the first step we did barcoding. Everything has barcodes now. Okay, what do we do next? Then we deploy mobile digital tools. So next, equip your warehouse staff with barcode scanners and mobile devices, such as handheld computers or smartphones with scanning capabilities. So, and these devices run the software. So, like Cleverence in our case, that connects to your ERP wirelessly. So again, remember as we were talking about USB barcode scanners, those are completely connected to the warehouse, ERP system desktop computer. not mobile, not convenient. We don't want to be bringing product to the computer where that scanner is. Here we are going full mobile. We can take these mobile computers, take these devices, and go across the whole warehouse with them, and scan barcodes and do all these operations. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm going ahead of myself a little bit. So now, instead of carrying paper, workers use these mobile tools to manage documents and record transactions on site in real time. For example, when they pick an order or receive goods, they scan these barcodes and the data goes straight into the ERP system. This step brings the ERP to the warehouse floor. That's exactly how we do it. So now the third thing that I was mentioning was training and process integration. So technology alone isn't enough, of course. Training the employees is crucial. So we train staff on the new devices, the barcode scanning procedures, and the digital workflows. It's important that everyone understands how to use these tools and follows the new process. As part of this, you may adjust warehouse operations, so like standard operating procedures, to fully integrate with the barcode-driven approach. For instance, workers might now follow system prompts on the device for picking routes, or supervisors might monitor tasks through a dashboard. We make sure these new processes align with daily operations and that the team is comfortable with it. So that's exactly how we try to do it. So, in short, the right way is a comprehensive implementation of barcoding and mobile data capture combined with process change and training. This eliminates the manual, paper-based delays and errors by connecting your people and inventory directly to the ERP system in real time. And that's exactly how it's done. And let's have a look at the final system. So, what does your operations look like after implementing this modern mobile system? The final system is a warehouse that's effectively an extension of your ERP operating in real time. Remember I was telling you about the batch updates, stuff like that? Real time data sync. Here are the key features and benefits you achieve. Real-time accurate data. I know I've said it multiple times, but that's exactly what I want you to get out of this presentation of mine. Every transaction on the floor updates the ERP instantly. You always have an accurate document status in the ERP for warehouse operations. If something is picked or moved, the system reflects it immediately. This real-time data exchange ensures that the information in your ERP matches the reality in the warehouse at all times. Remote supervision and visibility. Because data is updating live, managers can have remote supervision of warehouse activities. So you can monitor operations from an office or elsewhere, see which orders are being picked, what's been completed, etc., without physically walking the floor. Obviously, that's very convenient as well. Mobile workforce and no paper. So your staff now works with a convenient mobile workplace. Warehouse operators carry a mobile device. They no longer need to haul paper printouts around. This means no paperwork shuffling back and forth. So everything from verifications to quantity confirmations is done via scanning and taps on the device. Again, the mobile computer, not the barcode scanner. The one that's connected to the computer, just making sure. On-site verification. Because this system is mobile, all checks happen on-site and on the fly. So for example, if there's a discrepancy, it's caught and corrected right there in the aisle by rescanning or adjusting in the device rather than discovering it later in the office. Every step, so like receiving, picking, shipping, can have built-in verification prompts, so validation steps. And this drastically reduces errors, especially human errors. Integration with the ERP. Essentially, you've transformed your ERP from a passive record keeper into an active, integrated part of the warehouse. You still use your familiar ERP for overall data storage and planning, but now it's fed by live inputs from the floor. And it feeds back instructions to the floor in real time. This synergy is what yields dramatic improvements in accuracy and efficiency. In summary, the warehouse becomes digitally empowered, real-time, paperless, and under control. These improvements set the stage for big gains in productivity and cost savings, which we'll quantify next. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Next slide. Okay. The business advantage of this approach. Let's talk about the business impact of making these changes. Improving processes is great, but what does it mean for the bottom line? The slide here illustrates a cost comparison, so like the monthly and yearly costs of different inventory management approaches, and essentially, what the cost of these, how can I say, what we're trying to show here is the actual costs that incur while using these systems. And you'll understand, I think, what I mean in a moment. So this highlights how a modern integrated solution like Cleverence drastically cuts costs compared to the old methods. And let's break it down. I think we've been live for like 30 minutes now. Nice. So let's shorten it a bit because I might be going blabbering along, taking everyone's time. So anyways, we're almost done. So manual checking. If you stick with fully manual processes, you might be spending roughly around $10,000 per month in labor, lost productivity, and errors. That's about $120,000 per year. It's very costly due to all the extra time and mistakes that have to be corrected. That's just what it is. Then we have Excel and Google Sheets. They save a little bit of money because we're doing something to make things work a bit better. But it does reduce some paperwork, but still runs around $8,000 per month in inefficiencies. So that's approximately $96K per year. You save a bit over pure manual work, but you're still paying for a lot of double handling of data and poor visibility. That's just what it is. Then we have the basic USB barcode scanners that I talked about. So stepping up to that basic scanning solution might cost around $4,000 per month. So that's already $48K a year in overhead. You gain some speed in data entry, but since it's not a full mobile integration, you continue to incur labor costs in staging work at computers and managing partial systems. That's what it is. So not the greatest. Again, it is better, of course, than doing everything manual, but we can do even better. And I'll show you in a minute how. So then we have basic barcode apps. So even a basic mobile app, not fully integrated, could run about $2,500 per month, and that already brings us down to $30K per year in costs. So this might include subscription costs and still significant manual reconciliation if it's not deeply connected to your ERP. Cleverence software, that's where we come in. In contrast, Cleverence's integrated mobile solution costs around $1,000 per month, roughly $12,000 per year. This lower figures reflects both the efficient pricing of the software and the efficiencies gained. Less labor needed for fixes and management. Everything is fully in sync with the ERP system, and the cost is much, much less because you're not dealing with all these human errors. You don't need as many people, on the warehouse floor redoing things, etc., etc. I think you know where I'm getting at. So as you can see, by adopting the proper solution, companies can reduce their warehouse operations costs by up to 90%. In the example on the slide, that's savings of about $9,000 per month, or over $108,000 a year. That's crazy. These are huge savings that go straight to the bottom line. And beyond the dollar figures, think of what else you gain. Accuracy, which saves costly errors. Faster order fulfillment, which can boost customer satisfaction and sales. And the ability to scale operations without a linear increase in headcount. Great. So the ROI of implementing Cleverence is not only in cutting those direct costs, but also in enabling growth and agility. I think that sounds pretty well. And what kind of products do we have? Now we'll get to this point. So you might wonder what specific solutions are available to implement this in your business. Cleverence offers a suite of software products tailored to various industries and needs. All of our products share the same core principle. They integrate with your existing ERP or accounting system, or any backend system really, to add real-time inventory and mobile capabilities. So here are the primary products in our lineup. I'm not gonna go too in-depth with those, but let's quickly touch base there. Factory 15, a solution for manufacturing operations. Factory 15 connects all steps of the production process, making it easier to manage work in progress, track components, and update the ERP in real time on the factory floor. It's ideal for factories looking to eliminate paper, travelers, and manual logs. Wholesale and distribution, our specialized solution for wholesale and distribution businesses. We have that. Warehouse 15 is the one that we pitch the most because a lot of people have warehouses. That's right. This is our flagship warehouse management add-on for your current ERP or backend system. Warehouse 15 is a comprehensive, essentially warehouse management module that sits on top of your ERP. It becomes middleware, right, as we talked about. It's highly configurable and handles all typical warehouse tasks like receiving, put away, picking, stock counts, etc. All the operations. With mobile barcode scanning and real-time updates. It's great for businesses that need a robust solution without building a WMS from scratch. As I mentioned, ours is already available. Why do you want to make all these heavy customizations? We also have Asset 15 for asset management. That solution focuses on tracking assets, as you might have figured out from the name. So like equipment, internal tools, IT assets, rather than like actual stock inventory, but for anything. It could be tracking pretty much whatever you want. So this helps companies tag and scan their assets, perform audits, and manage asset check-ins, check-out. This ensures you always know where your assets are and their status using the same mobile scanning approach. Then we have Retail 15, designed for retail store operations. Retail 15 streamlines tasks such as goods receiving at stores, shelf restocking, price checking, and inventory counts on the shop floor. It allows retail staff to use mobile devices to manage inventory in real time, both in the stockroom and on the sales floor, which boosts efficiency and accuracy in retail and inventory management. Hopefully that made sense. So for retail stores. Express 15 is for deliveries, a lightweight, rapid deployment solution, essentially order management on a smartphone. Express 15 lets you create and edit orders using an Android smartphone, speeding up the sales process and even allowing electronic invoicing and quick payments. It's very useful for small businesses or mobile sales scenarios like trade shows, on-site sales, where you need to process transactions on the go. Great. So each of these products addresses a different scenario, but they all share the Cleverence DNA, the low-code platform that was built. It's easy integration with backend systems, real-time data exchange, and user-friendly mobile interfaces. Depending on your business's focus, so be it manufacturing, distribution, retail, etc., you can deploy the specific Cleverence product or a combination that fits your workflow. Our goal is to provide a ready-made yet customizable solution for every context, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel to get those capabilities. So that's that. Basically, we kind of went over the slide, so I'm just gonna skip that. That's fine. So how do we implement? Now that you know what the solution is, how do you go about implementing Cleverence solution in your organization? We believe in a guided step-by-step approach to ensure success. Here's how the process typically works from initial contact to go live. So we have usually a introductory meeting, pre-sale brief as we call it. First, we arrange a kickoff conversation, right? You select a convenient date to share your project details and goals with us. And this is essentially a consultation or discovery call. We want to hear about your current system, your challenges, and what you aim to achieve. This helps us tailor the approach to your needs right from the start. Then we join the chat if everything seems like a good fit for both of us, and we can provide you with what you're looking for within the set time frame that you have. A lot of people have deadlines, right, for project implementations and integration. So after that initial brief, we establish direct communication by connecting with a dedicated project manager on our team. This often is done via persistent chat or email threats. We usually use WhatsApp, but could be anything. Whatever's easiest to you. And we align the expectations and strategies, and we want to make sure that, as I mentioned, we are able to provide you with the solution the way exactly you see it at your operations. After that, we move to a hands-on demo. We provide a live demo of the solution using your relevant scenarios. If you're eager to start, we can often schedule this demo very quickly, even within the next 2 weeks, assuming schedules permit that. The demo lets you and your team see Cleverence in action. For example, how a mobile device would handle one of your warehouse documents, how it syncs with your ERP system, that kind of stuff. And it's a chance to experience the interface and capabilities directly, and for stakeholders to ask in-depth questions as they see it working. That's how we try to do. So once you're comfortable with how the solution fits, we will prepare a personalized offer. This is a proposal detailing the scope of work, software licensing, services included, like training or custom integration work, all that good stuff, timeline, pricing, everything is tailored to your project specifics. We base this on the complexity of your operations and the goals you've shared. Essentially, it's a roadmap with a quote for moving forward. That's it. And then project implementation. With the offer agreed upon, we proceed with the implementation phase. This is where the real work begins. We schedule the project, then our team works with your team and deploy the Cleverence software. Not going to get too much into details, but usually that takes 4 to 8 weeks, depending again on the customization preferences, but pretty quick. So throughout these steps, we provide support and expertise. We understand that adopting new technology can be daunting, so our approach is collaborative. We make sure you have clarity at each step, from understanding the solution, so like the demo, to understanding the investment, the actual offer, to actually deploying it. This step-by-step process ensures that by the time you go live, everything is aligned: the software, the process, and the people. So let's go to, I do have couple of case studies here. Quickly going to go through them because we are taking a long time today, but let's dive into this one quickly. Hopefully the slide was updated. So we have a case study for APMG, their auto spare parts distributor in UAE. This is real world example of these principles that I talked about in action. APMG were using a custom ERP system to manage their operations. And their problem was their warehouse was struggling with inefficiencies in order processing. They had frequent picking errors, and staff spent a lot of time searching for products in the warehouse. In short, the process was slow and error prone, so a lot of human errors. These issues not only delayed shipments, but also hindered overall productivity. Employees were wasting hours retracing steps, and customer orders sometimes went out wrong. The root of the problem was that everything was being done on paper with manual updates. Their ERP wasn't keeping pace with real operations. So the solution: IPMG partnered with us to modernize their warehouse. We introduced Cleverence software along with mobile computers running on Android. And their whole operation went mobile and digital, essentially. Specifically, we digitized processes for delivery, planning, supplier order receiving, stock put away and designated cells, and collecting orders for shipments. Instead of printing out those documents, workers received them on handheld devices and scanned items at each step. This was a strategic shift to on-site real-time operations. By doing so, we significantly reduced manual data entry and eliminated the need for constant back and forth to a computer. The result was a marked increase in processing accuracy and speed. In practical terms, 17 mobile devices were deployed across their warehouse team, so every worker handling goods had a device to scan and update the system on the fly. Can you imagine? 17 mobile devices working in sync. Where else do you see that? We also helped reorganize their warehouse layout. The warehouse was divided into a front half and a back half, and also smaller For smaller items, we created, like bins and locations for them, address storage system essentially, with everything barcoded and a clear bin address system, as I mentioned. It became much easier and faster to locate parts. So results, the improvements for APMG group were dramatic. They saw a 4 times increase in inventory turnover ratio, so meaning inventory moved 4 times faster than before. So this indicates that they were able to process and fulfill orders much more quickly, turning stock into shipped product at a new pace. They also managed to utilize their storage space far better, effectively adding around 10,000 square meters of storage area coverage. Nice. So most impressively, they achieved a 99% reduction in staff errors. That was the biggest thing that they wanted, and they got it with implementing Cleverence. Essentially, mistakes in order picking or data recording were almost completely eliminated. Additionally, thanks to the address storage systems and real-time operations, their order fulfillment for certain segments increased by 10 times in speed. So to give some context to these numbers, APMG managed about 100,000 SKUs, unique part numbers, auto parts, we all know how those are, with a relatively small team of 17 warehouse workers. And yet, with our solution, they handled that volume with high accuracy. This case demonstrates how integrating mobile barcoding and Cleverence software can transform a mid-sized operation, turning a once inefficient process into a fast, nearly error-free system. Great. So we do have another case study, but we're not gonna go too much into it. Let's slowly finish up here. So as we come towards the conclusion of our webinar, and don't worry, on the next webinar, I'll be able to show you a couple more case studies as we always expand and grow. So you might be thinking about how to apply these ideas to your own businesses. To help you further, we've prepared a free PDF guide that all attendees will receive after the session. It's titled 5 Stages of Increasing ROI with Warehouse Automation. Great. So one of my colleagues will post that, or I'm not sure how that's done, but we'll see. We'll make sure to provide that. So this guide walks you through a structured approach to ramping up the return on investment when you undertake an automation project, because it does seem like it's a huge project. Usually it takes a long time and the cost is very steep, but it does differ. With us specifically, as I already showed on the previous slides, the amount of costs you save per month and per year is so huge that you will see that return on investment almost instantaneously. So what else can I mention here? So in that guide, we cover stages such as addressing your current state, planning the implementation, measuring improvements, and so on. So with practical tips at each stage. It's a great resource to reinforce what we discussed today and to guide you in planning your own warehouse modernization. Whether you choose to work with Cleverence or not, these best practices can help ensure that any automation effort you pursue is successful and delivers tangible ROI. We'll be sending out these guides to you via email to the address you registered with. Oh, perfect. That's exactly what it is. Okay. Keep an eye out on your inbox for the guide in PDF format, and feel free to share it with your team. So that's that. Let me share my contacts, and if you guys have any questions, you can always contact me at those numbers on the slide. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. We're now at the end of our webinar, and I'd like to conclude with a few important points and provide my contact information. As I already mentioned, it should be on the slide. First, to recap the key message, let's summarize and return back a little bit on everything that we discussed today, because we went through a lot. I was expecting this to be much quicker, but this is the first time, and it went on a bit longer. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But let's summarize. So your ERP system is an excellent backbone for your business. We got that. Perfect. But to truly excel in warehouse and inventory management, you need to extend it with real-time mobile capabilities. Cleverence solutions let you do that without replacing your ERP. You get the best of both worlds. The robustness of your existing system and the agility of modern inventory control. We've seen companies achieve tremendous improvements, faster operations, fewer errors, and major cost savings by bridging that gap. I encourage you to evaluate your own operations for these opportunities, and hopefully the insights from today have given you a roadmap of what to do. Now, if you have any further questions or would like to discuss how these solutions can apply to your business, please don't hesitate to reach out. There are phone numbers on the slides, so I'm not going to repeat them. My email is stan@cleverence.com. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, provide additional information, and set up a one-on-one discussion. Would love to hear, what you guys are doing in your business, what issues you're having, and we want to solve them. That's what we're here for. So thank you once again for attending. It's been a pleasure sharing these examples and best practices with you. We hope you found this session insightful and motivating. On behalf of the entire Cleverence team, I appreciate your time and wish you great success in optimizing your warehouse operations. Have a wonderful day. Cheers.